Sure.
Hello, my friends. Katie Day with the Moving to Texas team in Houston, Texas, joined by my good friend Stephen Kim Holmes, and we are here with another episode of the Real Advice Podcast. I am very excited to welcome this week's guest. He is a team leader of a growing team in Orange County, California. If you follow him on social media, there's no way you'll not be inspired by his content. I met him a few months ago at a real estate conference, and he is a badass team leader. He says he's a wannabe fitness enthusiast. I think that's just him being modest because he actually is a pretty badass fitness person. He works out a bunch and closes his rings on his Apple Watch every day, which is a feat in itself, in my opinion. I think I don't know, his calories maybe set at like 200. I don't know. We'll talk about that today. We'll unpack that. But he rocks it on the Peloton, in the gym, all that. And he is as I said, badass real estate agent, team leader, coach, and trainer in the real estate industry. Please join me. I said that word, industry. Please join me in welcoming my friend Colton Whitney.
Hello. Thank you. That was such an awesome intro. I think we can just go ahead and sign off.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on. Yeah, I appreciate you coming on.
It was great seeing you guys.
Yeah.
It's only downhill from here.
Yeah, you know. Cool, man. So thank you so much for joining us today. Very much appreciated. For those that may not already know you, Colton, tell us, a little bit about yourself and kind of how you got into real estate.
Yeah. My name's Colton Whitney. Started out in Las Vegas. I, growing up, had I had a father. Well, I guess not everybody can say that. So I was fortunate enough to have an amazing father who had his best friend was a legend in the real estate space in Las Vegas. And I was a really little kid, and I used to just watch how he would interact with people. And I watched the presence that this guy had. Anytime he walked in a room, everybody gravitated towards him. He was wildly successful, but his people-to-people communication skills were just second to none. And I just remember being completely infatuated by him. And I said, hey, I want to do what you do. And he's like, cool. He's like, look, when you can, you do it. And I was like, cool, when can I start? Like, I get off school at 5. And he was like, no, kid, you gotta be an adult. You gotta be 18 years old. You're gonna have to wait. And so I knew that was the path I wanted to take. And then I was in high school. I was a really dumb kid. Thankfully, you can see her there. I ended up finding out when I was a sophomore that my daughter was on the way, and I was going to be a very young father. So I was debating on whether I wanted to be an attorney or if I wanted to be a realtor. Had a kid when I found out I was 15. So I was like, well, law school's out. I'm going to have to hurry up and start making some money. Fortunately, I lived in a really small town, and I hated that small town. So I graduated high school 2 years early before I even knew she was on the way. So thankfully, I was already out of school. And I remember watching on MTV, Macaulay Culkin, his parents stole all of his money, and he emancipated himself. And I was like, it made him an adult so he could get into contracts, and I was like, I can do that. So I went to my dad. I was like, hey, dude, got news for you. You're not going to be my dad anymore. And got emancipated early so I could get into the real estate space, and started when I was really, really young, and went and started working for my dad's best friend. Started out in Vegas, did well there, hated the heat, decided to start over, moved to Orange County and started my team here.
That's intense, man. That is absolutely intense. That is not a cookie cutter introduction into real estate. So when you say you started at a young age, how young were you? Like, how old were you when you started? Fully licensed, ready to go.
I went through the schooling because we found out this was a whole battle. Because I'm a very persistent, stubborn bastard sometimes. I got emancipated. I was like, this means I can get into a legally binding contract. So I went through the schooling. I got the schooling. I went to the real estate division. They said, you have to be 18. I said, no, I have to be 18 because I'm not legally able to enter into a binding contract. I'm emancipated, so your rule doesn't apply to me. And they're like, we have a rule and it's 18. So I went back to the judge, called the judge that granted my emancipation. The guy was really cool. And I said, hey, can they do this? He goes, they're wrong. You can fight this and you'll win. That's going to take some time. So I did. I went back and fought it. And I started when I was 16. And my dad's just laughing in the background, talking to the judge. He's like, he's just going to do what he's going to do. And So by the time that the real estate division finally said and acknowledged that they would allow me to be licensed, I was turning 18 the next, I was turning 18 in a week. So I literally started a week before I was 18.
They're
Wow.
like looking at your birthday. They're like, let's just hold off another
Yeah.
couple weeks, and then that's
you won, kid. Good for you.
yeah. You're like, yeah. Oh crap. I think what's also crazy about that story is, I mean, obviously there's a lot of crazy things, but like very rarely do we talk to people that are like, no, I knew I wanted to be in real estate,
Yeah.
right? Like for most
Yeah.
people, it's a second or third career. And like you were like, hey, I'm 15, 16, like this is something that I want to do. And I think that that's very rare, for this industry.
I was fortunate to have, whatever, I think his name was Frank Napoli Sr. He's passed now. That guy was I didn't want to be a realtor. I wanted to be Frank. Like I just admired who he was. I admired what he did. I admired the respect that people had for him. He was such an amazing human being that he could have been a garbage man. And had that happened, we'd be on a garbage podcast right now. He just is what I wanted to be and emulate. And I'm just very fortunate that I had somebody that I wanted to emulate that put me into a good career that I'm happy to be at. So as much as I could say real estate, I wanted to sling used houses for a living. That really wasn't what it was. I just wanted to follow in his footsteps.
Sounds like was such an incredible mentor to essentially like try to emulate, like look up to, have the guidance. I think that's tremendous. What was some of the first things that you remember doing? Like, what did Frank have you do? Was it like, great, come on, kid, you're going to start, coming on these $1 million like listing contracts with me? What were some of the first things he had you do?
I thought that. So yeah, I did the thing. Keep in mind, this is 2008 in Las Vegas. And I was like, cool.
Oh God.
So
Wow.
Yeah. So that scene in Wolf of Wall Street? They end up coming in and they're basically like the door shut down. The brokerage closes the day he gets his license. That's what it felt like. Like I went in there, was so excited. I was this kid full of energy. And I remember Celie. I'll never forget this woman. I sat down and I came in with like all my energy and rainbows falling behind me. And she just shit on everything I was excited for. Immediately, she's like, this business sucks. You have no idea how hard it is. You can't get anything. Everything's short sales. You can't get them approved. Like I'll never forget that day because I was like, oh my God, I'm so screwed.
Oh man.
So we started doing like I would hold open houses, and I was holding open houses from literally Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. But we were in an inventory in Las Vegas at the time where 7,000 homes 13,000 homes was normal. We had 79,000 homes on the market.
Wow. So
I just sat in a vacant house with no heat, and it was freezing during the winter in Vegas. It is cold there in the winter. And I just kind of sat there and watched paint dry. And then I got my first deal in escrow. I got crazy excited because I finally had a deal in escrow. I was like, cool, when do I get paid? Got a kid, I got to feed. And they're like, well, at the short sale, this is going to take some time to negotiate.
6 months.
And I was like, how long? Can't take that long. So I'm like, cool, a couple weeks, couple months. They're like, yeah, sometimes 3 months. I was like, oh shit, that's hard. So sorry, I cuss.
That's fine.
They ended up doing the short sale negotiation. It took 6 months to get paid. I had sold a condo. Geez. The condo was a $27,000 condo. The short sale negotiation fee was $1,000. I owed money on my first transaction.
Wow. That's crazy.
I had to pay out of pocket, and I've never received a commission. So
welcome to real estate.
Yeah. So at the time we started like really focusing on short sales, and I was like, yo, I'm not going to pay $1,000 for a short sale negotiation fee. Why don't you let me start negotiating? I just want $1,000. So I was like, I'll do anything for $1,000. I was like, let me negotiate our deals. So I started negotiating short sales. We started doing huge campaigns, commercials for free loan modifications. The modifications would come in, we would do them for free. Nobody qualified for them. So once they were denied of a loan modification, or if we got it for them, we did it for free. But if they got denied, which inevitably they did, they would list their home for a short sale for us, and we would take over the listing for their short sale. So we were able to lead generate doing free loan modifications. It would convert into business through the short sale once it transitioned. And then we just started doing massive short sale business. We did, the year I left Vegas, we did 412 transactions.
Wow.
I always love the short sale or REO or like REIT business because it is like just such a numbers game, right? And like learning all of the systems behind that, I think helps you in the retail side and like dealing with clients because it's like you have the right systems, and then when you can add that plus customer service for actual people, it's always so helpful. So I think that's invaluable experience. So how long ago did you move to California? Because I think I knew that you were in Vegas, but I didn't, how long ago did you move to California?
7 years. Came out and everybody thought we were crazy. I just hated the heat, and we used to come to California for vacation, and I hated it. And I remember one day I looked at my partner and I was like, dude, I don't want to go home. And he laughed, and I was like, I'm not kidding. I don't want to go home. So we packed up, moved to California, got my ass beat again for starting over in California. Because we were like, cool, we're selling 400 houses a year. I can go into Orange County. I'm going to sell 400 houses right away. And it was just an absolute humbling experience. Had to start back over. Glad I did now. But I just liked the California weather a lot more. So that's why I ended up moving. So I've been here to answer your question, 7 years now.
So, in the very short period of time that you've been on, Colton, I could quickly identify that you are just a different cat, different beast altogether. Like when I think about the word like resilience and grit, you're the epitome of that. And so the question I want to ask you is, what advice would you give to someone just starting out? Because I think every single successful agent, whether you're solo, a team lead, on a team, you have to have this underlying sense of grit and determination and resilience that keeps moving forward. You have that. Like
stubborn and stupid or grit, whichever you want to call it. I would truthfully, and it's one thing that I wish I would have figured out sooner. And it's something I didn't take, because I started with a team, and I started with a Goliath in the industry. I started with somebody who, when we started doing the short sale, could afford to run TV commercials and radio ads. And at the time, I look back on it and I took it for granted because I didn't realize the amount of expense that is required to create opportunity. And I didn't understand, granted, he was old school, and it's what I love about him, because we applied all of his old school methods to kind of new school techniques. His listings and everything he had was on a roll of papers. Every lead that came in, he would write it down on a pad of paper. But if you talk to him 3 years later about a lead, and if somebody on the team ever disputed whether it was a team lead or it was an office lead, that guy could go back in his credenza, grab that sheet of paper from 3 years ago, flip open to, he had a system. I was the tech solution because I was techie, in the sense of I love systems, and I love, you guys watch me struggle to turn up my volume. So when I say this, it's funny.
I promise, guys, I'm really techie.
Yeah, with systems and structure, I'm really good at implementing stuff like that. So I kind of married the new school stuff to what he did. To answer your question, it was, I just didn't understand the value of opportunity. And now, for anybody new, I get so frustrated at traditional brokerages or any brokerage or team that allow somebody to come in, they sell them the bag of goods, and then these people sit there and stare at a wall because whatever basic level BS training that they were given didn't actually prepare them to go out hunt or give them the ability to articulate their way through a conversation or transaction to be successful in real estate. So the advice would be, do not try to do it on your own. Find mentorship, find collaboration, find opportunity. That is the one and only thing when you're starting, because we have such a limited runway. Most of us get into this and we've got maybe 3-4 months to generate a check, and then we're screwed. And our dream of being successful in this industry is taken away from us, and you got to go do something else. And that's a reality for most people. And it would be a much higher success rate if you genuinely had team leads and brokerages and people who gave a shit and focused their business plan on making somebody successful and making them productive, and not just expecting to take a huge percentage out of whatever it is that they can stumble their way into. So find a team, find leads, find collaboration, find opportunity, and then have somebody who's teaching you to meet that opportunity with being prepared so that you can be a badass and go sell real estate. Because opportunity without the preparedness without the opportunity, you're going to go do something else. And for me, that would have been digging ditches.
I completely agree with that. And I think that the people that we associate with and the teams that we talk to, it's a different, level of team, because like I feel that the team is replacing that for the brokerage, right? Like brokerages have, I mean, all of them have training and whatever. It's all great, but it's all so surface level of like, here's how to make phone calls or whatever. And like, I know you do this, I know Steve does, I know I do. It's like we have tactical training where it's like, this is what we're doing. We're going to practice these scripts, then we'll actually make some calls, and then we'll do this, and then we'll do that, and like, work with coaches and organizations to supply that, right? So yeah, I mean, I think I completely agree with that 100%. I want to kind of take this in a different direction. So, we made the comment earlier, I made the comment earlier about the wannabe fitness enthusiast. And for anyone that knows you, I think that that's a little bit of a lie, a little bit of a humble statement, right? So, I think like I'd love to talk a little bit about kind of like your motivation behind working out. I know, we talked about like your trainer that you have to like close your rings every day and all that. Like, so how long have you been like kind of doing that? I guess would be the first part of my question.
It's been a process. My parents were always just very active, and I was really, 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 really scrawny, and my sisters kicked my ass my entire life. Oh, hold on one second. My computer's gonna die. Hold on. I'll fix it.
All good.
I'm gonna try not to. I'm gonna try.
It's okay. Anyone listening doesn't know what's going on. So for all intents and purposes, you're still very techie to them.
We're in. Okay, cool. All right. My sisters beat me up, and my mom was like, one day he's going to be able to take you out. And I was like, I'm absolutely going to beat both of you down one day. And so I started going to because my dad's also 6'6". He's 300 pounds of just solid muscle. And then here was his firstborn son, this scrawny little runt, and didn't get his size. And I just started working out because I wanted to be able to beat up my girl sisters. And
in a loving way.
No, with the most vengeance, with the most relentless, vengeful, nothing good about it.
Yeah.
Love them to death. But anyway, I remember the first day I finally was able to beat up my sisters, and my dad kicked my ass so bad. He said, if you ever touch a woman again, I promise you it'll be the last thing you ever do. And I was like, got it, cool, can't do that.
You're like, I got my revenge, father.
Yeah, barely. Like my sister, she was like growing up with Mike Tyson. She was a tough girl. But anyway, so started kind of getting into it. And truthfully, real estate, I got into it ass backwards. I'm not trying to bring real estate into what turned this into it. But when I really became intentional around setting goals that you had to have a step-by-step plan to achieve that goal. Like once I became clear on I have to have an actual strategy to achieve what I'm trying to do. Like I remember the first time I meal prepped, I basically cooked 5 pounds of ground turkey with 10 pounds of brown rice and thought I was eating healthy. And I was getting fat, like really, really fat. And I was like, why am I gaining weight? I'm eating rice. So anyway, I just didn't know what I didn't know. And so I just started being more intentional, learning that you got to burn more. There's a science to this. How many calls you got to make before you set your first appointment? How many appointments you have to set to write your first contract? I know that in order to get to a percentage of fat loss through studying, that you have to be in a deficit by X amount of percent. But in order for you to actually be able to do that effectively, you got to track it. So then it came that stupid little watch that I wear. So I know what I eat every day because I eat the same thing. And I know how many calories I have to burn. And if I don't burn that calories, that means I'm not in the deficit that I want to be in, which means I'm going to gain fat. So the reason I'm so addicted to that process is I love setting a goal and like creating a plan for it. And if I don't close that damn ring, it just ruins my entire day.
So what's funny is like after us having this conversation, I guess we were in Dallas, right? At the Tony Robbins thing. But yeah, so we had this conversation in Dallas. Like I'll sometimes look down at my ring and it'll be like super close to closing. And I'm like, Colton would be so disappointed. Colton doesn't give a shit about my rings, right? Like Colton and I have actually never. I'm like, Colton's closed his rings, and then I'm like, all right, let me go like walk around downstairs for a little while, and I'll like go downstairs, come back up. I'm like, all right, now they're closed. I can go to bed. And so you made an impact on me on that one. So I do love to work out. But, like, the ring thing has certainly been more prevalent in my life over the past few months since knowing you, man. So thank you for that, or F you for that.
Awesome. It's the latter for sure, because it does, like, once you start doing it, a bunch of my friends have started, and then it becomes a competition. But it's like, I definitely took it in excess. I'm not wearing it today because I really hurt myself. I unintentionally, but I was like, I need to take it easy. So like these last 2 weeks, I'm taking it easy, and looking at that stupid circle was like ruining my day. So I was like, don't wear it. Don't pay attention to it. Just wait to heal. I hurt my knee, so I got to get better first.
Yeah, no, that's smart. That's smart. So I know that you're a very disciplined person. As far as kind of morning routine, like, I don't know if you work out in the morning or what does like kind of your morning routine look like? Because I assume it's probably the same every day.
Yeah, that's not naturally how I am. I've created that habit to where now I'm able to do it. I wake up at 3:45. I do my Peloton at 4:30. My day is regimented because I don't do what needs to be done for my business, for my health, for my family, unless it's on my calendar and scheduled. So we became super disciplined on, like, my time at this time. This is what I'm doing, and I really don't let anything get in the way of that. And that also goes for free time. That also goes for time with my daughter. Like, it's built in, and I don't let things get in the way of it. So 6, I'm to the office by 6. I prepare for my huddles and my trainings for my agents from 6 to 7. From 7 to 8, I do my Monday task completion. We do our Monday huddle at 8 o'clock. It's all the way till 12. It's time blocked exactly what I'm going to be doing.
What would you say is the biggest challenge for people who don't follow a schedule, or they know they need to schedule, they need to track, but what do you think is the biggest challenge as to why agents specifically have such a tough time tracking?
Because it's easy. It's just easy not to. It's easy to deviate from your diet. It's easy to sleep in. It's easy to hit snooze 14 times. It's easy not to go to the gym. We gravitate towards what's easy. I very much did. And there's weeks where it's really, really difficult, but I really created accountability around everything. Like, Katie, no, you weren't in. David was. We had I don't wake up. Everybody's like, you're a morning person. Like, you should see me. I'm an asshole in the morning. I'm not a morning person. But I created a SPAR group to where if you weren't up and if you didn't check in with the SPAR app, you got billed. It was $100. And then there was days where I was like, it's worth the $100 to sleep in. So we moved it to a point that I wouldn't miss because it would hurt if this amount. So we moved it to $500. So once we created that habit, now I wake up every morning. But it used to be if I didn't wake up, I was charged $500.
And that's something that I feel like, I wouldn't say that I'm a morning person, but the amount of time that you have in your day. So I wake up at 4 every morning, right? And get to the gym by 5. So the amount of time that I have in the morning compared to everyone else that's waking up at 8 is just so significant.
Yep.
It's yeah.
I'll echo that sentiment. Like, having 2 kids, especially, like, Colton, you wake up at 3:30. It reminds me of like Mark Wahlberg. He wakes up at 2:45 in the morning. And one of the things that all peak performers talk about is just that sacred time in the morning when no one's up, it's quiet, and you're the most focused and most efficient. Because the moment everyone starts waking up, you're on. You're putting out fires constantly. And so, I'm going to buck the trend. I am a morning person. I love the mornings. I absolutely love it because that is so sacred, that time for me.
It is. It's, if you ever, if you're sick, and for me, and it's turned into this, if I'm sick and if I wake up late, my entire day is ruined. If I sleep,
100%.
And it starts my day at a point where I feel, even if I have nothing, if it's on it just, I feel like half my day is gone, and I hate if I sleep in, I feel like crap the entire day.
Yeah.
I am unique in the sense that I'm an absolute insomniac. I have been since I was a kid. I don't sleep. So I go to bed at like midnight every night. I have 4 hours of sleep and I'm fine. I have energy throughout the day. I am not tired. Um, if I try to go to bed early, I'll stare at the ceiling and toss and turn. I can't do it. Um, and I also can't just sit and watch TV. So I just find a way to make my time productive.
Do you ever meditate?
I've tried. I fucking hate it.
Dude, so I mean, we have similar personalities. Like there's a few of them that I like, and if I fully commit to it, I will pass out. Like I will pass out. But that's the only thing I can do because or else I'm laying in bed and my mind's just going all over the place, right?
Do you? Because I have had a lot of people tell me, and like you got to meditate, and so I did the.
Well, I don't do that bullshit.
That didn't work.
There's one that I like that's like you basically lay in bed and you have to like, and they even say they're like your mind's going to go other places. That's fine. When that happens, just like take a breath and come back to doing this. And you start at your toes and you like try to make everything heavy and you go from your toes and then up your body, like the bottoms of your feet and then your heels and then your calves and then your knees. And then you just like, and it goes like you get yourself heavy all the way up to your head and then back down your arms. And like half the time, by the time it gets to like my chest, like that's the last thing I remember and I'm out.
Really?
So.
I've tried. You can try to sedate me and I still won't go to sleep.
I'll just bring over a bottle of bourbon and hit you over the head with it,
That's what it'll take.
Yeah.
Trust me, there is a certain amount of tequila to where I will go to sleep.
Yeah.
Colton, if you weren't a realtor, a real estate professional, what would you be doing?
I have no idea. I really don't. It scares me all the time to think about. I don't know. I started this so young. There was never an in between. I would be doing something in sales. I enjoy. I don't know because I'm not in this environment. I can be extroverted. With you, my team's always like my ops manager. I'll never forget because she gets this version at the office. And we went out and I sat in a corner and I just didn't talk to him. But she's like, "What's wrong with him?" Like, "Oh, he's a total introvert. He doesn't talk to anybody if he's not at work or if he's not trying to be on or network or something." And that was a total shock to her. She thought I was super extroverted. I'm wildly uncomfortable in a stranger situation or being in public. I hate it. So I would say sales potentially, but I hate having to talk to people, which is why I've gotten out of production and do what I do. So I don't know. I'd like to think that I'd find a way to be successful at something somewhere, but since I can remember, I wanted to be an astronaut and then I wanted to be a realtor, like from a little kid.
Nice. That's awesome.
What advice would you give? So you just said, obviously you're out of production now. What advice would you give to people that are like kind of just starting out with a team? I think we all have made mistakes along the way, right? What would be some advice that you would give of like, hey, don't do this?
I'm really careful when I say out of production because I think it's the goal of everybody and it's like the ass backwards goal that most people should not be focusing on because they don't have the ops scene, they don't have the infrastructure, they don't have the lead volume, they don't have the profitability to get out of production. And yet it's everybody's goal to get out of production. I'm out of production, but I have a showing partner that facilitates all my personal clients. So when I say I forgot what your question is. I have ADD more than anybody. What'd you ask?
Mistakes on the team front.
Oh.
What's advice that you would give of like, hey, you should definitely do or not do this?
I wish I would have known this up front. The showing partner model that we've implemented not only would have made my team stronger and I would have had better performance across the board. Everybody hires buyer's agents. And when you do buyer's agents, most of us are on pretty similar structures. You split it 50-50. And the way we should be doing it is we have so many lead opportunities that we can't handle more. So then we have to leverage ourselves. And truthfully, we should do that with an assistant first, an ISA to handle your follow-up, and then maybe even a secondary assistant, and then a buyer's agent. The problem with it is it's such it absorbs all your profit. The showing partner model that we run is 38% more profitable because it keeps me in charge of the part of the transaction that is the most difficult, and it's what I'm really good at. And it's the articulating of the negotiation to the client. It's the going back and forth, like the difference between a brand new agent, we track appointment set metrics, appointment metrics, how many off. So we know where they struggle, and where the conversion falls off a cliff is mets to contracts written. And we all know the difference between a really good agent and a bad agent is determined during that conversation and the skill set that's associated with guiding somebody to a closed transaction. A new agent, no matter how good your training is not going to have the ability to convert at a rate higher than me. So what we do, and I think the industry's asked backwards on this, we show everybody what to do and we expect them to go do it. And what we don't do is show them what to do and then watch them do what we have taught them to do, to see if they're implementing it the right way, to make sure that they're executing correctly. So the showing partner model gives them the ability to have a sustainable salary to where they're not having to stress over not being able to pay their bills. It gives me the ability to increase my capacity for leads received. It gives me the ability to stay in control of conversion, which increases the conversion and the ROI that we're seeing from that lead that was acquired. And then I get to convert at a higher rate. So all through and through, it's a win-win. The agent gets a runway that's livable and sustainable, and she gets to graduate to a traditional agent. And on her second year, she's going to crush everybody. Because she has spent a year learning, listening, and now we're scaling that to my top agents. So instead of hiring a bunch of new agents, I'm now scaling my best producers by hiring a showing partner that they ultimately end up paying for. They make less per transaction, but they're also getting their nights and weekends back. They're scaling their ability to produce and sell more, but maintain a balanced life. And for me, I'm able to maintain my performance metrics for my Zillow Flex partnerships and where we're controlled by performance. So anyway, the long answer is, I think the showing partner model is so much more successful. Somebody in your environment, Eric Hatch, is the one that taught me. He's my personal coach. The guy's absolutely brilliant. It's more profitable. And your second year, once that showing partner graduates to an actual agent, they're a killer that can outproduce any of the top 5, 10-year agents.
Wow.
So when you first started out saying that, I knew who your coach was. I'm super excited because I have a call with him later this month going over everything. So I'm like ready to, I'm pumped.
He is, and we're in polar different competing. I'm an idiot. Competing brokerages. There's a reason I sell used houses and I'm not an attorney. He is the most brilliant leadership coach, and his model just simply makes sense. And that man has literally been, aside from my initial mentor, he has been the most influential person, and I've been coaching with him for 6 months. Our leadership, our processes, our systems, everything is 10 times further along than what it would have been if I didn't have him.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's intense.
That's glad crazy. That I'm not competing with him.
Yeah, competing. I told you it was going downhill from here, and it wasn't.
You didn't lie, bro. What? All right. What would be one book that you would recommend every agent read?
Traction. Traction. Yeah, Profit First. You asked for one. I'm going to give you multiple. Traction, Profit First, Big Pumpkins. Those are all really good books. Any of that Traction series, which is hands down the best books that I've ever read for real estate. It applies to all businesses. Yeah. But Traction.
That's great. That's great. All right, Colton, we're going to hit you off with the last question. This is the question that trumps everyone. And that is, Colton, if it was your last meal on earth, what would it be?
Cold Stone, cookie don't you want some more? Extra Reese's, extra Snickers. I eat it every Sunday. And it is a $30 ice cream by the time I'm done with it.
Oh,
and
my
it is just
God.
the most gotta have it size. By the time you put the ingredients that I put into it, it turns into a gotta have it, plus the overflow is enough. I like it. And it requires the extra Reese's. When you order it, you have to tell them your version of extra is not what I'm looking for. Your version of extra multiplied by 2 is what I'm trying to get. So that's what needs to go into this ice cream.
That was intense. That was so intense.
Every Sunday.
Every Sunday, really?
Every Sunday,
your
Uber
cheat day.
Eats. Yep.
Wow, that's intense. That's intense. I need
It's
to
in the
Peloton.
calendar. It's in the
Need to put
calendar.
the calendar scheduled.
It's on the calendar.
Amazing. Amazing. Well, Colton, we just want to say thank you so much for sharing your invaluable time with us. We've learned so much. Hopefully everyone who's been watching and listening has taken so many amazing nuggets away from you. We wish you much continued success. You obviously are the real deal. You know, your relentless commitment to growth, learning, and to team development is why you are a top producer. So Colton, thank you so much, my friend, for sharing your time and your wisdom and knowledge with all of us.
Thank you, Steve. Awesome to meet you. And Katie, love you as always. I met her one time, but I've been following her forever. I met her the one time and she became an absolute friend. So I love you and thank you so much.
Thanks, man.
Awesome. All right. Peace, everyone.
All right, guys.